So, I finished the Millennium series, and it was pretty good. I didn't like it overall as much as the Heisei series, but it was a good time. Moving on from that, Godzilla was put on hiatus for roughly 10 years, so between the years of 2004 and 2014 there was nothing. But then 2014 came, and a new American Godzilla remake came out, and it was actually good this time. They respected the source material. They got a director who actually cared about what he was doing. They got some actors that don't sound like whiny assholes and were actually good. Godzilla himself looks like Godzilla, and overall, like, the movie, it's just alright. Like, again, I can't really praise it too much because although it is a much, like, in comparison to the last American Godzilla, obviously it's leaps and bounds better. It's still not what I wanted from a Godzilla movie, you know? Like, it's got the big, the super expensive Hollywood CGI special effects that make Godzilla look better than he's ever looked before. He looks like he's really there, he looks like he's really huge. And we have, like, this main character who is like he's part of the military, so we have this sort of vessel keeping us close to the ground, keeping us with that human perspective, so we're constantly witnessing just how tremendously huge Godzilla is. The problem with this movie is that it just doesn't have enough Godzilla in it. And my complaints aren't really any different from pretty much everyone's complaint with the movie, which is that every time Godzilla shows up, they just like to cut away from it and just show something else. Like, every time he first appears, his big dramatic entrance is amazing, and he roars, and it's the coolest roar you've ever heard in your fucking life, and then it just cuts back to something else. Or the most egregious bit is the bit where Godzilla shows up to, like, save the day, and you see him fighting another monster for literally like a second, and then a door closes, and it's like, ah, fuck you. Like, that sucks. But no, what that really amounts to, though, is that you do get this tremendous amount of build-up, so that when you do get to see Godzilla in all his glory at the end of the movie, in the final battle, it does feel satisfying. It feels like, oh wow, this is really cool climactic, finish to this movie. And it probably wouldn't have felt as strong of a climax if it didn't have so much build-up. But then again, that's more just because it's not that great a fight. Even in that climactic final battle, you don't always see all of Godzilla, like, he's obscured by smoke and ash and stuff, and it's incredibly dark because it's nighttime, and there are parts where it's just really difficult to tell what's going on. But, aside from Godzilla himself, there are other good things in the movie. I thought the first, 40 minutes were particularly strong, because that's the part where Bryan Cranston's character is alive, and he's easily the best character. Not so much for his writing, just because Bryan Cranston is such an excellent actor that he could make the character so, sympathetic. Like, it's easy to be emotionally invested in this guy, because he is so he's Bryan Cranston. I don't have to say anymore. And then meanwhile, he's not the main character, though. The main character is his character's son, Brody, the military lieutenant, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, and his wife is played by Elizabeth Olsen, which is hilarious because I'm, obviously a big fan of the MCU. So seeing this movie and going, oh, so these two were husband and wife in this movie, so that's why they played brother and sister in Age of Ultron, and that's also, by extension, why they felt so weird and incesty in Age of Ultron. But that's neither here nor there. They're both good actors. It's really weird to me that that's Aaron Taylor Johnson, because I mostly know him for Kick-Ass, and in Kick-Ass he looked like a skinny, nerdy guy. He looked like me, for instance, and in this movie he's got, his hair cut, and he's all ripped, like he's been working out a whole lot, he's beefed up, and he just looks like a generic military jock, and it's hilarious. But he himself is not an interesting character. He just kind of is, like I said, our vessel. He's what we latch onto to keep his perspective through the movie, like what Godzilla is and everything. You see everything going on around him, and it's almost good. Like, there's a bit where he gets on a train and he sees this kid gets on the train like by accident or whatever, and the train takes off and his parents are still at the station. So as the train is taking off, he like grabs the kid and motions to the parents like, I'll bring him back, and he stays with the kid and the kid feels safe with him, and that's a really sweet bit. But then the train, the train's being attacked by this giant monster, and I have to protect the kid, and I liked that, but it kind of came and went pretty fast, and it felt like it was resolved too easily. Like, the kid's parents just happened to be at the same refugee camp that he was at, and the kid just ran to his parents all on his own. So that got resolved pretty quickly, and I don't know, I kind of wanted there to be more crisis. Like, I wanted there to be more scenes of, like, the main guy trying to escape hazardous situations indirectly caused by these kaiju, which, yeah, I don't know. I haven't even mentioned the Muto, which are like a new kind of monster introduced in this movie, which I saw this movie back in 2014 when it was new and it's in theaters, but I completely remembered the Muto wrong. For some reason I thought they were like a weird two-headed dragon creature, but obviously that's not what they are. They're like giant bugs. They're like giant bugs with big, long, skinny Cloverfield legs, and there's two of them, and they quickly find out that one is male and one is female, and that the male has been trying to call to the female through echolocation so that they could mate. And that's a pretty cool little plot detail. I like that. I like that Godzilla still originates in Japan in this movie, but he comes to America because he is hunting the Muto. And Godzilla in this movie, this is like the first Godzilla who is a good guy from the start. Usually Godzilla is either trying to blow up Tokyo, or he starts out trying to blow up Tokyo and then slowly becomes like the defender of Earth or something. And in this movie, he's just straight up like, he doesn't hurt humans. He just naturally, because he's so big, he causes collateral damage to things around him, but he never intentionally murders a person. Whereas the Muto kinda do. Like, the Muto have a lot more disregard for human life, and they like stomp on people and break buildings and shit. Godzilla tries to like step around the buildings and stuff, and he tries to swim underneath all the bridges and boats and stuff. He doesn't try to kill anybody. Even though the United States troops do fire on him, they fire at him with tanks and missiles and everything, because they just don't phase him. Godzilla's not bothered by it, and he just keeps moving. It's kind of cool. But we do get introduced to the Muto first, which is a strange decision, because I feel like you're kind of setting your audience up for disappointment with that, when you have this big, weird, like this big radioactive thing in a nuclear power plant, and you're building up to it like, oh, what is it? There's something alive inside. And then it hatches, and it just turns out to be a weird-looking bug. It's like, well, fuck you. Like, where's Godzilla? I want to see Godzilla. That's the name of the movie. And then you don't see Godzilla for like another 20 minutes. It's like, whatever. But because of that build-up, when Godzilla finally does show up, it feels like a huge deal. And, yeah, just lots of mixed feelings about this movie, because it has really good stuff in it. It's just that really good stuff is pretty sparse, and the stuff that isn't as good takes up the majority of the film. And but it never feels like, it's not like a badly crafted movie. This is like superb cinematography. The whole movie is like beautiful the whole time. Every shot looks good. The sound design is like top notch. Just the way each like camera cut flows from like one scene to the next, everything is just very, very well done. Better than any other movie up to this point, by like a considerable margin, because this is like the first really, really big Hollywood Godzilla movie. It's not like a weird shitty one like the Matthew Broderick one. It's actually, it's got the backing it needed. And all in all, it's I want to say it's like a satisfying experience, but it's not really a great one. Like, it's not a hugely satisfying experience. It's just, at the end of the movie, you get what you came for. Godzilla fights the two Muto. He kills one of them by slapping it into a building with his tail, and it's very sudden, and it gives you that kind of like, oh, kind of feeling like, oh, he killed it. And then with the second one, it's just straight up one of the coolest like monster kills in the whole series, because he grabs the monster's mouth, pulls it open, and then just blasts his atomic breath down its throat and blasts its face off, and it's amazing. Yeah, I've heard some people criticize the fact that his atomic breath doesn't look very powerful in this movie, and I kind of agree that it doesn't, but I don't really see that as a terrible thing because, uh, if it's like I feel like they kind of make all of his movements pretty slow because that assists in making him feel huge. Because the way the monsters are animated in this film it's really well done. Like they never, there's not a single moment where it feels like I'm seeing through the effect and be like, oh, that looks fake. No, like no, it all looks great all the time. And yeah, I mean, running out of things to say. No, it's just a solidly good movie, like a 7 out of 10. It just needed more Godzilla, which thankfully there's a sequel coming out in a few days called Godzilla King of the Monsters, and it's got a ton of monsters in it. It looks like it's going to have much more kaiju action than this one did. So, and it's got the girl from Stranger Things in it, which I like Stranger Things, so that's cool. But yeah, hopefully they don't kill her off in the first 30 minutes.